Hello everybody, my name is Emmett, and today I'm going to be telling you my coming out story. Okay, so I do want to say this is my coming out story. Doesn't mean your coming out story has to be the same. Everybody's coming out story is valid. There is no one way to come out. There is no specific age to come out. There is no specific age that you have to know you're trans. None of that. This is just my story personally. Every story is valid. So I knew from a young age that I was trans. I didn't have the language for it though until later. Um, Ever since I was like 3, 4 years old, I've always felt very uncomfortable with myself, uncomfortable with people, calling me a girl, using she, her pronouns. Had a lot of discomfort with my birth name to the point that even before I knew what trans was, I could not say my name out loud. I could not introduce myself to people. I could not say my name out loud. It's something that I really, really struggled with. Um, Even now, I can't say it out loud. I still have like panic attacks when I hear somebody say it out loud, even if it's in reference to someone else. It just really freaks me out. And not everybody's like that, and that's totally fine. But just for me, I don't know what it is, but just my birth name freaks me out so bad still yet, even though like my name is legally changed and everything now. But so I knew from a young age. Um, I grew up like your stereotypical tomboy, and that was okay for the most part. People in school just, I guess, thought I was a lesbian, but we never really talked about it. I was picked on a lot in school because I was so different from everybody else, which I feel like is like a really common thing that happens, unfortunately. But when I was 14, I was a freshman in high school, I met another trans guy, and he was like one of my best friends all through high school. We still talk occasionally. Um, and he is the person that told me what being trans meant. And immediately I was like, oh, how about that? Because, I never thought to look. I didn't have like my own computer or anything. We had like a shared family computer, and I was terrified to try and look anything up about any of this. And so I actually started doing research online and stuff and found out about, like hormones and top surgery, and saw all of these other trans YouTubers back in the day, like Skylar Kurgel, was like, he was the first video, like, he was the first trans guy that I watched on YouTube, which is so crazy to me because it was so long ago. I wasn't able to be open about it though. Like I told my friends as soon as I knew. So all of my friends have known since I was like 14. And they were all super accepting. But I felt like it was safer, I guess, to just let people think I was a lesbian. I came out to my mom as a lesbian when I was 14 just because I thought it would help explain why I was like more masculine, I guess. And she didn't really take it well, and we didn't talk about it after that. It was never brought up again. Because my mom has a bad habit of just not talking about things that need to be talked about. She thinks if we don't acknowledge it, then it's not real. So I didn't really say anything about it. I bought my first binder when I was like 15. I bought it through a friend that brought it to me at school, and my mom didn't know about it. And then when I was 17, I came out to my mom as trans. And I did that through a letter where I had like sat down, and it took me days to write this letter. I sat down and I just explained everything. I was like, this is what trans means. This is how I've felt my entire life. This is the name that I want to go by. I want to use he, him pronouns. I want to start hormones. I want to do top surgery in the future. And I gave her that letter and then went to school that day. And that was the most nerve-wracking day of school I've ever had in my entire life. And we just didn't talk about it. Again, we just didn't talk about it. There was like one time that we talked about it where she said something like, I'm your mom, I notice things even when you don't think I do. But then we never talked about it after that. She didn't want me to tell any of my family. She didn't want me to tell my dad. She didn't want me to tell my brother. Before, when I was a younger teenager, I had been super involved in like the lesbian community on Tumblr. And I remember when I came out as trans, they like shunned me and like would say shit like I was a traitor, and like I how could I want to become the enemy and like all of this shit. And so there was a big falling out there, and I wasn't even like important. So then I had to do the whole coming out thing again when I went to college. I lived in a dorm. I had female roommates. They didn't know I was trans. I didn't tell them. We had no relationship whatsoever. I couldn't even tell you what their names were. I lived with them for like a year and don't know what their names are. I emailed my professors before the semester started and was like, hey, this is my name on your roster, but this is actually the name that, I go by, he, him pronouns, all that sort of thing. And that was the first time I was actually able to like be me. And it was so crazy to hear somebody for the first time in my life call me by the right name and use he, him pronouns and stuff. And it felt weird. It felt really strange at first. And honestly, it still feels kind of strange just because it doesn't feel real. I don't feel like I should be this far. In less than 2 weeks, I'll have been on testosterone for 3 years, like 3 whole fucking years. And that's crazy to me because I never thought I would get this far. I legitimately never thought I would get to the point that I'm at right now. Yeah, that's just sort of my basic, coming out timeline. But I also have a video that I'll be making on coming to terms with being trans and, talking more about being involved in the lesbian community and then coming out as a trans guy and sort of dealing with that and navigating being a man all of a sudden. As always, if there's anything that you would like me to cover in one of my videos, please let me know. I read all of the comments that you post. I use them to figure out what to do next. So yeah, feel free to reach out, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys later.